Hello and welcome to Sci-Futures Pod. This is the podcast that imagines what would happen if we lived in certain sci-fi worlds and futures. And I am always Claire Lim. I'm wee Claire. I'm your lovely, or not so lovely, host. And we have here Rupert Booth, my amazing
Hello,
co-host.
I'm always also me.
Yes, he's also very yeasty.
Not this week. Don't bring the yeast up again.
No, that was last week, or no, it was 2 weeks ago. The yeast has run out.
Don't make me brandish my. No, I've got more now. I can brandish my yeast product again if you want me to. If there's customer demand,
It's not that kind of podcast. It's not that kind of podcast. This is a yeast-free pod.
This is yeast free, is it? All right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, this week we are going to talk about Children of Men, a really cheery movie, very happy movie.
Yeah, not a funny film. I sort of start laughing at that point. It's kind of like, no, right, we're doing Children of Men now.
No, we're doing Children. Serious faces.
Yeah.
Like, show us your serious face, Rupert. Serious face. You look scared or scary. I can't be serious. Okay, I'll try. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I can't do it. Rupert, I just can't do it. I did duck face for a second, and I was like, no, this is not it.
If you want a moment of seriousness, then just let me know in advance, and I'll kind of get the whole sort of tombstone face thing going on.
See, that's actor versus non-actor here. That's what I'm talking about. Right. Okay, let's talk about Children of Men. Right. Okay.
Yes.
So, and before we talk about Children of Men, how has your week been, Rupert? What have you been doing this week?
It's been busy, and I've been doing lots of projects that if you ask me about, I have to go, I can't quite say just yet, but not, but soon.
Okay,
yeah,
soon.
So it's been busy. How's yours been?
I can't talk about some things, and I can talk about other things.
Right.
I've had a fun week on stream, and tomorrow we're doing a panel for 15-bit games on stream, which is going to be fun.
Oh, when's that?
That's tomorrow at the exact same time.
Okay, good. Right, fine, nice.
So if you're watching this not live, that will mean nothing to you. But if you are, then please tune in. Please tune in tomorrow. Do you have any Angel Delight? Because I don't have any Angel Delight.
No, I have no Angel Delight. That was 3 weeks ago. I've been yeast product ever since.
Hey, I thought the yeast ran out. The yeast ran out, right?
I bought more.
When it comes to Rupert, there's always a bit of yeast. Anyway, look what we're doing. We're rambling. No.
We are. And you started it. You brought yeast up.
Okay, I actually did bring yeast up. Okay, so I do apologise. Okay, so no more yeast. Let's get on with Children of Men, which is a very non-yeasty movie. It's very serious, very serious.
No one's ever said that in a film review before. No more yeast. Let's get on with Children of Men. You get quality content here, I tell you.
I think that maybe that should just be the catchphrase for every segue in the film. No more yeast, and now it's time for...
No more yeast. Yeah. All right, we've had quite enough yeast now. So, Children of Men.
So let me explain what this film's about, okay? So it's set in 2027, which scarily enough is only 7 years from now. And when I watched this, whenever it came out, I was like, oh God, that seems so out of the ordinary, but it doesn't really, because we'll explain why. It opens with the youngest person on the planet dying, and the youngest person is like 18 years old, because the whole premise is set around the fact that women are now infertile, and we can no longer reproduce as a human species. Now that changes slightly from the book. In the book, it's men that are infertile, and in the film, it's women. Okay, so the UK government is one of the only functioning governments in the world, but it's like a totalitarian state. And because of that, you have a lot of immigrants coming over. You see waves of immigrants being put in cages. What does that sound familiar? Who does that sound familiar to?
Indeed, yeah.
So you have immigrants being put in cages. And then we have Clive Owen's character, who ends up at the very start of the film, gets kidnapped by his terrorist wife, his estranged wife, Julian. She's now part of a terrorist organisation trying to help immigrants get smuggled into the country with proper papers. So, long story short, all I'm going to say is they discover a young immigrant girl called Key, and she is pregnant, and she gives birth. Right? So, that's where we're at. And it's quite a heavy start. Rupert, you hadn't seen this film until today.
No. No.
So I'm very interested because this is very much your thing and this is your wheelhouse. What were your first impressions of the film?
My very first impressions of the start of it were what a very strong opening. Very, very subtly, nicely done with the whole thing of the youngest, this boy who was a bit of an asshole, dying, and who's been celebrated his entire life for being the last human being born so far. He's been stabbed because he spattered a fan. And I thought that was an interesting hook, and straight away I'm kind of going, yeah, all right, I'm listening. And it kept on in that vein. It kept me absolutely hooked all the way through. I really, really enjoyed it. Really rate it. Superbly written, superbly acted, superbly directed.
It was really fantastic, and I think Clive Owen
Um,
is brilliant. I think the
oh,
cast
tremendous,
is
tremendous. The
there.
cast is superb.
Oh, the cast is brilliant. I know now. This is big spoilers now are about to happen. So major spoiler alert because we're about to now talk about the plot.
Mm,
Clive Owen's wife Julian, who's played by Julianne Moore. It's Julianne Moore, is it, or Juliette Moore? I can't
mm.
remember.
I think it's Julianne.
So she dies at some point in the film, and I would have loved to have
Mm.
seen more of her because she's such a great actress, like a really great actress.
That was a lovely death scene because you are left absolutely wanting more. You're expecting it's going to be a kind of there's going to be this will they won't they thing all the way through with them for a start, which would have been fine. That can be terribly cliched, but with those two playing it and with a script of that level, that would have actually been add another layer to it. But you feel the loss kind of not as much as he does, but you certainly go, oh fuck, what really? I did.
I think it kind of like
Um,
goes in with the whole because it's not a very hopeful film, okay? And they
oh, I
have
don't know. I think the end is
the
obviously.
end, yes, but the begin
Mm,
that first part right up until the sort of
mm,
middle, and I think that kind of goes her death and the things that happen and the
mm.
sort of betrayal and the thoughts and the feelings of the main characters in the terrorist cell. It doesn't feel very hopeful. They're just surviving. Everyone's just
Oh
surviving.
no, absolutely, absolutely, and a lot of the time the worst of humanity is coming out.
Yes.
Um, but I mean, to me, it very much felt like 28 Days Later, Day of the Triffids.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't realise the film was British. For a start, so
Yes.
when I saw that, always makes it more real for me because Britain's more real to me than America because I live
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
there's something that really gets to the core of me if I see gun battles happening in a country lane in England with a road sign that I recognise. To me it's more real. And because of the low budget and the Britishness of it, it's all very underplayed. There's the violence is never remotely glamorous. It's never nice to look at. There's no art or poetry of fighting in it. It's death. It's blood. It's nasty. It's real.
No,
Um,
I like the fact that it was because every time I watch or every time I have watched a sci-fi film in the last maybe sort of 20 years, the ones that I pick out that I quite like, and this is
mhm,
sci-fi, I guess, as well. They're usually American, and
mhm,
sometimes I watch quite a few Spanish films. Sometimes I think Spanish films
uh-huh.
can be really great. They've got the Spanish film industry. Sometimes they produce really great films.
Oh
But
yeah.
when it's British horror or British sci-fi, and I think they did
Mm,
this in a really good way because this is sci-fi without spectacular giant effects
yeah.
and
Yeah.
lasers,
Yeah.
and this is
Yeah.
just something that can. Because if I give a bit more backstory to Clive Owen's character and his estranged wife, Julianne Moore, they are estranged because they had a child and the child
Mm,
died in a 2008, I think, pandemic.
mhm,
Okay,
mm.
so all of it feels very, 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 very close to home. Um,
Very relevant.
I
Yeah.
think especially now, and I didn't realize it as well. At the very opening scenes, you see things like "Jobs for the Brits" posters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now you see, I clocked all that stuff as it happened because, of course, one is aware. We have a depressing rise in the right wing, which hasn't stopped because of the pandemic. So we've got this mysterious pandemic that did a thing to the human race, and because of that, the right wing rose up. And I'm just sitting there going, "Wow, which is the screen? Which is the window?"
Oh my
You
god,
know.
100%, 100%.
So it
It's
was really, really, it was a very good choice. It was very, very relevant. I found it very relevant.
it's so
Yeah.
relevant to today, especially with
Mm.
the immigrants in cages, rounding them up like
The immigrants.
cockroaches.
Well, exactly, exactly. I mean, it's once again, it's the Second World War iconography of the concentration camps. But still, yeah, that. kind of still happens,
That's happening now,
yeah.
and you've got.
And it's happening now,
It's
precisely.
happening now. I watched in the last season of Orange is the New Black, and I came to Orange is the New Black very late. I came to it in the
Mm-hmm.
last year, so I just binge watched it, and I watched the last season very recently.
I still haven't. I've seen some episodes, and I thought that's really good. Therefore, I want to do it properly and start from scratch. And I just, one day.
It's good. I binge watched it, and that last season they actually touch upon. So they come out of the prisons, and they're actually in those kind of, I don't know what they're called, just border controlled,
Mm-hmm.
pens, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very, very real and very kind of close to home now. Grave
Yeah.
Gamer says here, thank you for your 15 months of subscription. Grave Gamer, you wee gem. Thank you. Can we have a shout out for Grave Gamer? Grave Gamer says, I love this channel. Rupert, you're a fucking peach.
Thank you.
And he says,
What
Claire,
a peach?
he's American. He's American.
Ah,
Yep. Imagine an American accent. So I'll do an American accent. Sorry, Grave. Sorry. I love this channel. Rupert, you're a fucking peach. Sorry.
interesting. I'll go with the original version. It's all good. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much for your lovely comment. You guys inspire us to make this content, so thank you very
Mm-hmm.
much. And hello, Raiders, thank you very much for coming in. Please refresh the page so that the little streamers like me get the views. Thank you. Come on in. It's very. Yeah, I didn't realise how real it was actually, Rupert, until I was watching it again at this point in time in 2020. 7 years off from when they say
Yeah.
this is going to happen. And
Well, hey, it's happened early,
it's happened. We're starting early. And the
If
thing,
it,
there's this kind of feeling, and I think Clive Owen does it really well, of like beaten down hopelessness, and you see people going mad. People are going absolutely mad. And I think we've talked about this in another podcast with the London riots and stuff. You saw how quickly people go mad and lose.
yeah, the mob mentality we were talking about.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
this kind of like mob mentality, absolute crazy sort of, and you feel, and I think that it's very interesting how the director kind of does it, because that loss of hope, I guess, when there's no young people being born, there's no future. There's just no future, and so I wonder what people might do. We'll talk about this future later in the podcast, but it makes me wonder. So let's look at the themes. What themes did you pick up, Rupert, from the film itself? We've talked about immigration and things like that, but what other themes did you pick up on that struck you?
Well, very much the whole thing of who can you trust, and how that changes when you're in a world like this. When I was saying to someone earlier on how much things are being stripped away. Was it you? It may have been you. How we're seeing at the moment how so many of the things that we're used to and not the things that we rely on to keep us going, but a lot of the things that we expect of life are suddenly gone, have been gone for some weeks now. And you do hear about people getting this kind of like lockdown psychosis and just bashing their head off walls and stuff. And yeah, you wonder. So I very much got the feeling of, well, themes-wise, actually, there was certainly some religious iconography in there. There was the whole Christian bit.
Yes.
I mean, when we're introduced to Key, which is an interesting name, she's the Key. The miraculously pregnant woman is in the barn. Well, of course she is. That's where miraculously pregnant women go in when they're icons like this.
Yes.
So that didn't go unnoticed, but it wasn't heavy-handed. It was a nice little thing, and I like the fact that she took the piss and kind of went, "But I'm a virgin," and he's going, "What?" Just for a moment, he's going, "Can it be?" And then she just bursts into laughter and goes, "You twat."
She's good. She's a good character. She plays it very well.
Did. Yeah, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it coming either. I didn't see that she when you first introduced to her with Julian and they're in the car and all that sort of thing. Obviously, she sat down. You can't tell that she's pregnant until she literally shows him, which I thought was a lovely tender scene.
Yes.
And I was surprised by how invested I was by that point, because I'm not wild about kids, frankly. But that moment is kind of, I really felt kind of like, and you kept getting that. I suppose it's interesting what you said earlier on, that it was, I haven't read the book, that it was switched from men being infertile to women being infertile.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Do you know why that was?
I'm not sure why. I'm sure we could probably go online and read from the director. Alfonso Cuarón
Mm.
is the director, and he directed Gravity, which I'm not keen. I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
so keen on. I thought it was a good
I liked it.
concept.
I liked it.
I think it's
Um,
because I don't like too many famous faces in films, like in sci-fi sometimes, because it takes away from me. But
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
he directed this perfectly. I love the fact that he switched it around because, I think women are seen as, obviously mothers of the earth, mothers. They're childbearing
Well,
creatures. And now they're
this
barren. So
this
it's
is what I was going to say. I think it's a switch for the better. I mean, without having read the original book, so I might be talking out of various orify. One, because of the symbology. Yes, you do want it to be women who've been made barren because women are the child bearers.
yeah,
Secondly, if it was men who were made barren, well, okay, sperm banks.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Sperm
absolutely.
bank. As a writer, or probably as an audience member, a little way in, I go, hang on a minute, sperm banks, unless you have some contrivance where all that's been, made sterile as well. But I just think it's got much more of an emotional whack for it being women.
I
Um,
think so too.
one,
I think so
one,
too.
one. The first thought that occurred to me about it when you said it beforehand
Mm-hmm.
is I thought to myself, I wonder if that was some studio interference by some male executive going, oh no, you can't have the men being made sterile. No.
I'm not
Except,
sure, and I think I
but
read several interviews with the director, not touching
mm,
upon this subject exactly, but
mhm.
it feels like this might have been his decision because he was talking a little bit about how, because you never know why. Okay, so it's never explained why women have become.
No,
It's
I
inferred.
like that.
He says it's because he doesn't want to hand it to the audience. He was like, "We're force fed everything. I don't want to force feed
Yeah,
you." So
I agree entirely.
he was very deliberate in the fact that he was like, "No, we'll just keep it you. This is where we are,
Hmm.
and now we accept that this is where the story
Yeah,
begins, and
and
that's
here's the story, and if they don't know, you don't know, which is always quite powerful.
yeah, exactly." And
You know,
it's implied. It's implied that it might be the environment. It might be something to do with that, but it's not ever said.
no,
Because hey, what if something like that does happen? We might not really know the reason.
absolutely,
Maybe we just don't know. Maybe it's evolution.
absolutely. Yeah,
And it's also
yeah, just
implied that
just
it's
saying stop.
exactly. Maybe it's divine
Putting the cap on it.
intervention. For some people, it might be divine intervention. It might be science. It might be the environment. So you can take what you want out of that.
Mm,
And I think that that's quite interesting. But that whole idea of, again, women are always seen as that sort of way. When we
mm,
take that away from women and then there's no young people being born, it does feel like a very hopeless future.
mm.
And you do feel it. It gets more hopeful as we go on. There's like
It does.
there's glimmers that come in, but
Yeah.
I never considered that because at the moment, the times that we're living in a time where a lot of much older people are in charge that are in their 60s and 70s. Actually,
Mm,
they're
mm,
really holding on to those jobs, right?
mm,
And
mm.
and we've got Gen X, the little squashed generation, and then we've got a bunch of millennials, and then younger people.
That's me. I'm Gen X.
You're the squashed one. You're a little.
I'm the squashed one.
You're
Yeah,
the
yeah.
squashed one. I am a Zennial, guys. Zennial. That's a
Zennial.
bit of both.
Zennial.
Bit
Well
of
now.
both. Yeah, bit of both.
Uh,
Zennial. Yeah, I'm holding on to that.
basically can't make your mind up.
Hey, best of both worlds. That's what I'm calling it.
I'm sorry, age before beauty.
Okay, if you say so. Age before beauty. He said it here. He's admitted he's old. It's fine. He's usually against it, but today it's fine.
Yeah, but if I'm using it to get round you in some way, then that's fine. So anyway, hello.
Zenial.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
Oh,
so
bless your heart.
but I right, I have the power to switch the Skype off at any point and do this myself.
True,
To
true.
do this myself. We're having
But
a
then who joined? But then who joined you in the cave?
That's true. That's true. I need guys. I need to keep them on board just as long
You
as we
know,
make the cave FMV.
until you find the gerbil, then
Yeah, and then but who is the gerbil? Who are we? We don't know. We
there's the
don't know.
gerbil. We don't know yet. We don't
don't
even know what the question is yet.
We don't even know. We don't even know where we are. Quite frankly, I don't know what I'm
Uh,
doing from day to day. So who knows? Who bloody knows?
2020.
We've got a few people in the chat saying, Claire says, Claire radiates pure Zennial energy. Thank you, Ellie. I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. Ellie says as well, I'm a run-of-the-mill millennial. There's nothing wrong with any of the generations.
Nothing wrong with it at all.
Apart
Apart from boomers, fuck them.
Yeah. Apart from the shit boomers. Or like my dad who keeps sending me conspiracy theory things on WhatsApp. Stop it, Dad. Stop
Uh,
it. Please
uh,
stop.
uh.
So
Maybe he's running interference. Maybe he's actually behind the conspiracies. Then he's just trying to throw you on the wrong scent. Ooh,
I
you
don't
never
know
know.
about that.
Ooh,
I don't know about that.
ooh, trust no one.
So with this, I kind of feel like I never considered if there's no young people. Of course, there's no hope
Hmm.
because there's no change. You know,
Hmm.
I look to the young people right now,
Oh,
and I'm like, I hope that we keep voting and changing and moving forwards and change things up. That's what we need. We need new blood, new life, new blood. It
well,
can,
there'd be an awful lot of change. Actually, it would just all be negative. You'd be in a suddenly incredibly shrinking society.
yeah, well, yeah, you would be.
And as that went on, things would get worse and worse for you because, the older you get, suddenly the less healthcare there is, the less resources there are for you. So actually, it would be a really, really bad and probably quite short old age,
No,
even if you got there.
yeah, even if you go, and the thing
Uh,
is with I mean, with people, with young people as well, though, just generally, say we just talk about ideologies and
mhm.
psychology and things like that. With young people comes hope because there's this fresh, fresh faced, wide eyed hope that
Well,
comes with young people.
sometimes,
Well,
sometimes just comes a pile of nonsense on YouTube.
hey, I'm all for the young people. I love them. I mean, there's a lot of
I
it.
just, I just resent them. It's fine.
I like being this age and I like being older, but I love the ideas and the energy that young people have. Because sometimes you
Mm.
do, you're like, right, okay, so maybe 80% of that is like bluster, but actually there might be 20% where I'm like, this is good. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and so I hope that, and I think when you take all of that away and there's nothing, you're like, oh,
Mm.
okay, so it's just all this. It's just going to be this now, and a shrinking version of this, as you said, is just
All you have is your own survival and that of those close to you for as long as that can be. That's
yeah,
all life will become.
absolutely. And then
I
of
mean,
course,
I thought. I'm sorry. I thought it was beautifully illustrated when he goes to get papers and stuff from his cousin in the Tate, and he says at
yes,
one point, "Why do you bother? In 100 years' time, no fucker's going to be here to see any of this."
yeah,
And
that's
I that really hit me there. Kind of, oh, that
no,
hurts. Blimey,
but then
that's
again.
that's final.
It is, cause no one, cause you're like, no one will be like, this will all be, it'll be relics of what happened, just
Mm,
and no one will
mm,
be there to enjoy them. And then of
yeah.
course the theme of immigration, it's very strong all the
Mm,
way through, and
mm,
and watching it now, I'm like, wow, a lot of the rhetoric that is fictional in the movie
yeah.
is actually rhetoric that we're hearing
Yeah.
from right wing populist governments, including our own, around the world.
One thing I did find ironic is that it said very early on that England is one of the, or the UK or Britain or whatever is one of the very few places that still has a functional government in the world of this film. And I thought,
Yeah.
so that's where it diverges from reality already.
Yeah, exactly. And this whole
But yes,
the
to be
idea of
serious.
a totalitarian state
Mm,
as well.
mm,
And
mm.
now we haven't reached those levels, of course, but the idea that it's jobs for the
Yeah.
Brits, and if you see an immigrant, you got to report them. It's that bad, you got to
And
like get
and
them out.
and who gets to define what a Brit is? From what it seemed to me, it seemed to be white
Yes,
in the film.
absolutely,
Generally.
absolutely.
So forget if you're born here, but happen to be non-white, which is, what happens.
Exactly, and it's what we're
Um,
seeing. And even at one point, I think they're having a discussion about Key and her pregnancy and
mm,
our impending baby, and they
mm.
say something like. So at one point, Clive Owen goes like, "Show them. Let's tell them the truth. Let's show them. Show them what's
Yeah,
happening."
yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah,
go, "We can't
yeah.
show them. Like, do you think they believe that it'd be some immigrant girl? Like,
Absolutely, absolutely.
they'll cover. You know
Yeah,
what the British government's like. They'll cover it up and they'll
yeah,
put some rich women in her place. So it's all of this kind of
yeah.
propaganda, government propaganda, totalitarian state.
Absolutely.
And when I read what's happening, some of what's happening here and a lot of what's happening in say Russia and
Mm.
America and things, it's like that already.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. There's an awful lot of right wing stuff. I mean, there has been an awful lot of right wing stuff coming along for the past
Mm,
10 years at least, I'd say.
yes,
I mean, you're
yes,
really coming to the fore in a way that you start looking at and going, hang on a minute, it's always there, it's always in the background. It has been all my life anyway, those things, those opinions, but they kind of stay in the background. But then over the last 10 years or so, I've certainly felt a bit kind of threatened, actually. I felt threatened.
yes, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. It feels scary. It
and the
feels
weird, and I mean, the thing is, look, theoretically, I have nothing to feel threatened about, do I?
yes, yeah, fair,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, well, it's not fair at all, really. But but yeah, but of course, intellectually and as a person, I found it all very, very disturbing, and
It
yeah.
is. It is. It doesn't matter. Again, like people put things into boxes and things into categories like
Mm,
a white guy, a white straight guy, you're a blah blah blah. It's like no, actually, let's just think about the human beings here because you can feel
mm,
scared. Your mental health can suffer, and it can be
mm,
very scary,
mm.
regardless of what your background is. You could be, from the LGBTQ plus community. You can be a white straight guy. You might think exactly the same, and that's it's
Oh
still
yeah, absolutely. For me, it's an ideological thing. My ideology is not that, and therefore the rise of it makes me feel threatened.
exactly.
I don't.
I think a lot of people feel it. Like LA64 in the chat says here, I feel worried a lot about being transgender, and no wonder because
Yeah,
like people are coming after the transgender community as
absolutely,
well, which is disgusting.
absolutely.
What like again,
Yeah.
it's othering immigrants, othering people that are transgender, othering the women.
Othering, othering anyone you want, anyone.
It's
Absolutely. I mean, it's been used throughout. It's. I suppose a variation on playground bullying, isn't it? You're sort of set aside, and
yeah,
you can't join our gang. Well, our gang happens to be the human race,
yeah, exactly.
and
It's so
and
stupid.
you kind of have no choice but to not be in it by being born.
Exactly. If you cut us all, it's still the same stuff inside. We still bleed the same blood, right? I don't understand. I don't.
Shakespeare, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it really makes me feel sick when people start doing it. I'm like, honestly, who gives a shit what people do? As long as you're not
Yeah.
hurting anyone. So, Squirrel here in the chat says it's eerie how this film is like a foreshadowing almost. This film and The Handmaid's Tale. Now, I haven't seen The Handmaid's Tale or read the books,
Hmm.
but I am dying to get into The Handmaid's Tale, and it's
Don't
in.
die, don't die. We have a podcast to finish first.
No. Hey, don't worry. I'm here for the ramble chat in the cave FMV. We're being
Nice.
serious right now, but we'll get to the
Of
ramble
course we
chat.
are.
We'll
Oh
get
yeah,
to the
yeah.
ramble chat.
We
Great.
might not. I don't know. We're taking this film seriously this
This is
time, aren't we?
very serious. This is the
Ah,
look.
ah,
Hey
ah.
guys, look. Rupert and I can be professional. We're like professional. Check this out. Yeah. So anyway,
Hmm,
let's talk
hmm.
about the themes, the themes of immigration and religion. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. It's one I think that the very real problem here is one that I have no idea what to say next.
I would say
Mm.
that this has a very it's less yeasty than Alien, definitely.
It had it does have a lower yeast quotient than Alien, but a greater sense of, I'd say, perhaps marmalade.
Oh yes, I'm definitely feeling an undertone of marmalade, but very
You're feeling
subtle.
marmalade.
Very
Oh, subtle,
subtle. Yeah.
a soupçon of marmalade across the top of the narrative. Absolutely, yes,
A
yes,
very
yes.
subtle spread from the director. Well done, yes, well done. Yeah.
I used to have a media lecturer who talked a bit like that,
Oh
actually.
really?
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did I trigger you? You're like,
No, it's
no.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. I just remember him sort of randomly sort of rubbing bits of furniture while he was talking in
Oh,
the big screen in the big screening theatre. He'd kind of talk and he'd sort of stroke the screen, kind of like that, going,
Ross.
"Yes, yes, yes. I see your point. Yes, 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 yes. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but imagine I'm stroking a screen."
Suggestive
Um,
furniture rubbing
so
whilst talking about
it,
films.
yeah, hey, it's been rock and roll my life, I tell you.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, if it makes you remember the source material, then whatever floats your boat. Like, hey guys,
No, it doesn't. I've no idea what the films he would talk about were anymore. All I remember is the going while rubbing, a wall or something like that. Ah!
Grave Gamer here says the car scene is monumentally done with that circular pan. Yes, camera
A
through the
single
top.
take, yeah.
Beautiful camera through the top of the car. I have watched how this is done on YouTube. It's brilliant.
Uh,
The car was driven by another driver who was actually seated in the front of the car. Looks like a giant Mario Kart vehicle with a canopy on top that would act as a
uh,
protectant from the top lighting. It's beautifully done.
it's
Beautifully done.
superbly done. So much of it technically was extraordinary. So many single takes, which were tremendous. And there's a lot of them about now. There weren't so many back then.
No,
Um,
no, beautiful.
and on a low budget film, and a lot of the time I noticed the single takes would have a lot of stuff going on. There'd be stunts going on outside and stuff like that, and I couldn't help but think about, blimey, that's really well timed. That's they must have rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed that, and that shot cost X amount, and they had like one chance to get it right. Um,
Brilliantly made. Like, I mean, hey, I love a
yeah.
big sort of CG splurge fest sometimes, but films like this just feel special.
You
Now,
see, I don't like a CG splurge fest. I like stuff like this.
exactly. So I like stuff like
Yeah,
this, but sometimes when I watch, because I'm a big Marvel fan, so
models.
like I'll
Bubble
watch.
shots, man.
I'm quite happy to watch Thanos click his fingers and for everyone to turn to that. I'm like, yep, yep. Like, I'm quite happy to watch it. But this is the kind of stuff I really love because you can get right into, you know.
Yeah,
And so
it's shot very kind of. It's that it's the style that emerged with 16mm film cameras in the Vietnam War, when news cameras became so small that could be portable, 16mm type stuff. And you got that very handheld in the action, and then suddenly the reporters are running away, and so are all troops and everything like that because there's bombs going off. So they're keeping it very small and keeping it very in. Obviously it's a very good way to do low budget stuff as well, but it didn't look like it was a reason in this film. It looked like it was very much a choice, which I'm sure it was.
Feels very, I guess, when I think about the very first film that we spoke about, which was Brazil, then I think about this film, and they're both amazing sci-fi films, so directed in completely different styles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I love that about sci-fi because you can really bend the genre to your will, and whatever way you want.
And I mean, you haven't even mentioned the brain from Planet Earth yet, so there's yet another style.
That is like its own style. That is like its style.
You see, I'd love to do something like a remake of that film in the style of a film like this, totally real.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yes. That would be freaking amazing.
I've always said I would be such a fun billionaire. Seriously, if I was a billionaire, I'd be just going, well, then we're going to make this tomorrow.
Guys,
give it away free.
Need to make Rupert a billionaire. This is right. Let's start this right
yes,
now.
Absolutely.
This is the Make Rupert a Billionaire campaign. People, get on the now. Tell us, Rupert, what are the first 3 things that you will do when you're a billionaire? 3 things.
I will throw a massive party in a cave for everyone who helped to make me a billionaire. Mm-hmm. I will make a remake of The Brain from Planet Earth in the style of Children of Men. Mm-hmm. And I don't know for the third one. Can I have a think about the third one?
You can have a think about the third. The third one could just be like buy over Angel Delight Factory, whatever you want. Like that could be a
I can think of greater diversions than Angel Delight.
Yes.
Just saying.
Rupert for billionaire. Rupert for billionaire. You'll solve all your problems.
Hey, this day's turned out unexpectedly nicely. There's now a Make Me a Billionaire campaign. That's excellent. I'll remember you all in my will. No, I won't. That's the worst thing to say because if I'm a billionaire, you'll all want to kill me.
Rupert, you need to start a Patreon.
That through.
Don't even like pretend. Just a Patreon says "Make me a billionaire."
Make me a billionaire.
Kickstarter or a kick. What do you get? You get Rupert for billionaire. That's all you get. No tiers, nothing.
I'll do a T-shirt or something.
Yeah. So, you can get a T-shirt
with my face on, going. Saying, thank you for making me a billionaire.
Oh my God, guys in the chat, would you get a T-shirt with Rupert's giant head on it? Just Rupert's giant head.
No, of course they wouldn't.
I would.
I didn't know my head was giant on it. Okay, well, I'll have to do that then. Well, for the third thing then, when I'm a billionaire, I'll commission those T-shirts and then everyone can have them, and that'll make it all worthwhile, won't it?
And I will only wear the T-shirt when I'm in your presence. I'll just sit there in public, like.
Oh, is that all you'll wear in my presence though? Because that might get a bit stinky. I might get you more than one T-shirt because I'll be a billionaire. No, you can have more than one. You can have more than one T-shirt. Is all I'm saying. Because I'll be a billionaire.
Different colours.
Oh, that's just greed. That's just naked greed. In the face of my billionaire status, and I don't like it.
Look, he's already turning, you guys. He's already turning. Look at this. We're getting a glimpse of the power.
Don't make me say silence.
Guys, Cactus Snack says, leave the Angel Delight for the lures. Yeah, leave it for the lures.
Let them eat Angel Delight.
Yes, let them eat Angel Delight.
I will say, as I'm eating my quail with caviar and staring out across my kingdom while rubbing a wall and going,
Hey, you're getting a glimpse.
You see, I'm being... Huh?
This is a glimpse of how power will change the man. His power will change the man. He's going to be rubbing furniture and eating caviar in no time.
Actually, there's no way I'd eat caviar because I hate seafood, and the idea of eating salty fish ball egg thing just doesn't fill me with joy at all. So if I had $1 billion, I wouldn't be eating caviar. I'd be, I don't know.
What would you be
eating nicer.
Burgers for everyone, just
I
burgers.
don't know. But not for the vegans, not for the vegetarians. And frankly, because I was a billionaire, I know what I'd do. I'd invest in one of those new bio farms that produces meat without there being an animal involved.
I'm into that. I'll buy.
I'm into
So if
that.
I was a wimpy, if I was, I'm already there. If I
If
was,
you were a wimpy,
if I was a millionaire, I'd buy Wimpy, and then I would hook up with Rupert, and we'd do business, right? And Rupert would
nice.
would give me the vegany veggie burger thing recipe for the Wimpy.
I would.
And so
I would.
that's
Well, I
it.
wouldn't give you the recipe because I couldn't give you the recipe because it's something that's grown in a lab. You need a lab. It's not a recipe.
He would supply me with those burgers, best burgers.
I'd supply you with the burgers, yeah, and I'd walk into every one of your wimpy restaurants, and I'd stand there in a corner going,
vegan cheeseburger and chips with a Knickerbocker glory. Yes.
Okay, fine, that can be done. I'll be a billionaire soon, so I'll be able to arrange these things. So that's another reason you have to make me a billionaire to fulfill Claire's dream as well.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, we're gonna get a Kickstarter going. Just Rupert for billionaire. I mean, that's it. You get a T-shirt.
If we all work together, then we can make this happen.
You got to do a lot of this. What is it they do, politicians?
This.
The pressing the button thing as they do as well.
Yes, they've got to do that, and you've got to do this, and we're going to do this thing now, and so on.
Yes.
That was actually about as coherent as any of Boris's speeches at the moment. So hey,
Look, you're already convinced. He's already done the hand stuff. And
I can do it again. I can lay that on several times and just one hand if necessary.
That's it. Hey, everyone's going to be clicking on your Kickstarter. Willie says Claire for billionaire. Thank you, Willie94. I will gladly take your money and I will gladly be a billionaire. Thank you.
There must be an order to these things. I think it was me first, and then Claire.
Ellie says Rupert Booth is the next Jeff Bezos. Oh, strong. Rupert Booth is the next Jeff Bezos.
Oh no, I'd be much nicer. I'd give a lot more of it back.
She said.
Just saying, I would.
Rupert 2020, yeah, like all the way. I'm telling you. Yeah, Rupert 2020.
Freedom for West Ham.
Look what's happened, Rupert. Do you know what's just happened? We've just rambled
again.
What? It's ramble chat.
We have rambled. No, we've rambled in a good way that ends up with me being a billionaire. That's fine. That's fine.
As long as all rambling ends with Rupert being a fantasy billionaire, Rupert's like, I'm cool.
Oh, you had to put the word fantasy into it, didn't you?
Right, let's get to the sci-fi future bit. Let's do that.
What a good idea.
First of all, question. Are we already living in the future of children of men?
No, because women can still have babies.
In other senses, do you think we are?
I think. I mean, I haven't looked outside to see if any women are having babies of late. In all fairness, I haven't seen any women having a baby today. Now, I haven't been in maternity ward. I've just been on the streets. It doesn't happen there normally in my experience, but I can't prove to be absolutely sure that women can still have babies today.
So there you go. That's Rupert logic. We call that Rupert logic. So
it's the observer thing. I think that people can have babies as of this moment, but I can't prove it for absolutely sure.
Rupert logic. So
that is logic. That's just real logic. How dare you?
Grave Gamer goes, they aren't, right? Grave Gamer's with you. Grave Gamer's with you. So
nice.
In terms of what would you think would happen if women couldn't have children and there was no hope? Do you think that we would be living in that kind of world that we see in Children of Men, or do you think there would be some kind of, they'd be trying to sort it, they'd be trying to get in the cloning game? Because it's a game, clearly.
Of course, yeah, they've had that old cloning game.
So Rupert, you're a billionaire, I'm a billionaire, so are you in the cloning game at all?
No. You know perfectly well what I'm doing with my billions. I'm building a cave underground, and I'm getting away from the Armageddon that's happening on the surface. Of course, that's what I'm doing, because that's what I appear to do.
Got to get on the cloning game. I can clone gerbils, and I've got extra boxes.
Excellent. That'll save the human race. Extra boxes. I think it would probably be a lot more anarchic than seen in the film. I think society would fall to pieces very quickly, because who's going to judge? Yeah. Who's going to be around in the future? Do
you feel
people might write the history books at this point, but no one's going to read them?
Do you feel that because there are some religious elements to this film, just hints here and there, and I think in the book there's a lot more actually.
Sure.
Um, do you think that what would the religious people be saying to this? I think the religious people would go nuts first. Like I think they would
They
absolutely.
they 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 would no doubt be appealing to whichever god it is that they support, in whichever way that they appeal to that god or gods or goddesses, and making absolutely no difference whatsoever, but probably being quite fulfilled by it.
Oh, you think so? Explain.
Well, it would give them hope, wouldn't it? That's what
Oh.
religion does. Religion gives people hope.
So.
Whether it's false hope or not is
Okay.
maybe not for me to say, but it would do so. Unfortunately, when their backs were turned because they were busy doing all this, probably they'd get lynched by a mob of angry non-religious people who just wanted to kill and eat and pillage and drink.
Yeah, which is that's the other side of it. Because there's a great comic series called Why the Last Man,
Hmm.
and it's about and some of the people in this chat I know have read this series, and
Hmm.
it's in a fantastic series. So in this comic, Why the Last Man, every single man on Earth dies. Right, everyone
Ha.
dies apart from one guy. His name is Yorick, I think, and
Yorick. Great name.
his male monkey, and that's it. His male pet
Huh.
monkey. And so it's what happens when women are in charge and end up all the men are dead. Women are in charge, but they can't reproduce because there's no other men. That ends up that gets
There's
solved.
Yorick. There's
There's
Yorick though.
there is Europe, but you encounter even in womankind, you encounter these strange tribes and these strange women and people that go absolutely nuts. It's not that women become these all-seeing, all-knowing, nurturing mother
Oh no, well
figures.
that wouldn't happen. Women are people.
Yeah,
People would go insane. People would. I'm quite sure, with no future for the human race, I think would see societal collapse really quickly.
really quickly. It brings me on
Mm.
to my next point actually about hope in general because this film is really about hope. It's about because as soon as
Mm.
people see the baby now, not the whole world doesn't know about the baby,
Yeah,
but fighting stops. There's a very tense scene near the end of the film. Again, spoiler alert. And the fighting stops when they hear the baby cry and they go, "Stop! Hold your
I
fire!"
love that. I love the power of the one screaming infant, and all the guns stop, and everyone's just reverent and
Yes.
stunned at the miracle. That had religious sort of feel to it without being specific to any particular religion. In the way that everyone, all these hardened soldiers who have been blazing away, are just kind of going,
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it starts somehow again because
yeah,
they start and they're like right and then it's because they forget about that so quickly and they're like right we have to
yeah.
just get on with this, but that enables them to escape that moment.
Hmm.
But hope
Hmm.
in general, there are glimpses of hope and you see what hope does to humans. It calms
Mm.
humans, it gives them purpose. Do you think then is hope an illusion? Is it real? Do we need hope? What are your
No.
thoughts on hope?
Oh no, hope's not an illusion. Hope's a very real thing. Hope is an emotion. Emotions are entirely real. Um, whether of course, there can be false hope, but there can be false despair as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hope's real. Hope's what keeps us all going. Sometimes hope that the next day is going to be better. Or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and I think there would be hope. I mean, the human project that's mentioned in this thing. I'd love a sequel where we explore what the hell's going on with the human project. They're clearly trying to band people together and presumably restart the human race.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I think it is quite it's a bleak film, but it's certainly not hopeless.
No, no, I think if it was a bleak, joyless film, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I think even as
Yeah, yeah,
even as somebody watching, there
yeah.
needs to be hope. I would say the end of Brazil is more bleak than this film.
Oh,
So,
hugely so. Yeah, absolutely,
but
absolutely.
then the hope is for him at the end of Brazil that he's enjoying whatever he's enjoying in a way
He's got away. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it says in a
But
sense.
as I think we established, wouldn't he be dead in about 2 weeks from malnutrition and lack of water and stuff, unless they put him on a drip?
But he wouldn't. I guess he wouldn't know that. I guess it's like it's that
Well, he wouldn't.
way.
Well, he wouldn't know anything. He wouldn't know anything after about 2 weeks. I mean, he would die.
All films, I think, all great. I mean, some films are just bleak, and I've watched films that are just bleak, and it's
Hmm.
fine. And sometimes you need to see some bleakness, and it's fine. But even think with the pandemic, and the closed borders right now and things like that. All of these, those are the kind of futures. We are living that future now, and that's where
We
it's
are at the moment,
different.
yeah.
And they're
Oh,
now
we are
talking
totally now,
about
yeah.
closing it down more. They're talking about immigration bills and changing immigration bills. And I watched this film yesterday again, and I was like, wow, I'm seeing things in the news, and I'm watching this stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
watching, like, there are in some countries, like Mexico. I think there was one story I read where frontline workers are being attacked for being infected. And they're nurses and doctors, but they're being attacked and beaten up because people are going,
The
"You're
break the
infected."
breakdown the breakdown of society. It's the whole leper thing, keep back, don't
Yeah.
infect us, we're terrified. And, it comes from a place of terror, but it also comes from a place of incredible stupidity.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely,
and,
absolutely.
malice and yeah, well, hey, there are some people
Yeah.
who
And
just
do you,
not.
do you think though that just generally, because I feel we're living one toe in, one toe out with this one right now.
Hmm,
There are some
hmm,
things that are definitely true, some things that aren't. Obviously the
hmm,
infertility bit, but
hmm.
do you think that
As
humanity,
far as we know,
as far as we know, but do you think that humanity will prevail, or are we doomed to destroy ourselves?
in terms of reality or the film.
I think in terms of reality, do you think we're doomed to make the
Oh
same
hell,
mistakes? Are we doomed to
I
fail?
I think there are enough of us to survive an extinction. Enough of us with enough technology to survive an extinction event. Depending on what the event was. I mean, if it's a meteor hit, if it's an asteroid hit, now we're screwed.
Yeah.
But say a pandemic, say one worse than this. I think that pockets of the human race would survive, and pockets would be all it would need to keep going. It would be very hard, but to keep going, to get things moving again, to eventually meet up and reconnect and start rebuilding society. So I think we'd survive.
So that's hopeful. That's hopeful. We've
Hmm.
got Cactus Snacks in here saying, "Hope is a fuel that drives a human to work toward the ultimate goal, whatever that may mean to the individual. Without hope, I don't think we would be here having this conversation." So it just, I guess, in a very basic sense, hope gets us up in the morning. Hope makes us brush our teeth.
Oh
Hope,
yeah,
I guess it's because the hope that you'll have a good day, the hope that
yeah.
you'll get your stuff
Tooth
done.
tooth decay makes me brush my teeth.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's the reason for that one.
And you know what?
But
Like
yeah,
we've always got the cave. We've always got the cave. So
okay.
we've
I,
always
I, I
got
think
the.
hope's an. I mean, I agree. I think hope is actually an extraordinarily powerful and necessary force in our lives. If we didn't have hope, then absolutely, what the fuck would be the point?
Yeah, exactly. We have to keep hopeful. We can
Mm,
still look around and go, oh God, but let's try and remain hopeful. Let's try and remain
yeah,
hopeful.
yeah.
Ellie says, Alexa, play "I Will Survive" by Gloria Gaynor. Yes. I love that, Ellie. Granddad says, much love to all the doctors, nurses, everyone in the medical field working. Yes, they
Damn
are
right.
heroes. They
Damn
are
right.
heroes. And hello to Goombas98. Thank you for joining us. So this brings us to the end. Next
Ah,
week, look, we're on time.
we are.
Woo!
Blimey.
We
Ooh,
actually did this
ooh,
on time. We look how serious we got. We got very
mm.
serious. Like I thought it was very serious. We talked about yeast. We rubbed furniture.
I'm going to do that again.
Just rubbing furniture. I just like how it's off shot. It's like we don't know. It could be just a strange person standing in the middle of his room. We don't know this. Just
No, it's
it's actually a thing. It's a thing.
it's actually a thing there. But let's see. Yeah, good.
It's actually a thing. It's all good. It's all good. On next week's show, we're going to be watching an old film because we're going old, new, old, new, old, new. And then the one after that is a very good film, which I will not reveal just yet. I'm sure all of you have seen it. And it stars one of my favourite action heroes of all time. But on next week's show, we're going to be doing The Day the Earth Stood Still. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. It has been a very long time since I've seen The Day that the Earth Stood Still. I'm very looking
I
forward to that.
I
Very
haven't
much.
watched it for a while. I'm always it's always good to have a reason to watch it again.
I'm into it. I'm into it. So we're going to go old and then we'll go new again. So that's next week.
Hmm.
Rupert, do you have any news that you can share with us, Rupert?
No, not that I can share. No, not this week. I hoped I would by this point, but not quite. So yeah. Hey, come back next week when I'll be going. I can't quite tell you anything else. No, I should be able to by next week. I really
Will,
should be
will
able
you
to.
be able to say anything next week?
Yes,
We can talk more about the Cave FMV. I mean, if anything,
we can do that. We can
we
do
can
that.
always talk
Yeah,
about the Cave FMV. We can always talk
yeah.
about that. So That's always a thing, you guys. That's always a thing.
Absolutely.
Guys, Rupert, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm Rupert Booth.
He's getting better. He's getting better, guys. He left a small gap and then he remembered. It's all good.
I did, yeah.
Small gap. Got it. Brought it back. You brought it back, Rupert.
Maybe that was a pregnant pause.
Yeah.
Because that would fit in with the theme of Children of Men. I thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Recover that's desperate spin. That's trying to recover that one. Yeah.
And guys, I am serious. I am serious about the Cave FMV. You think it's a joke? We've got notes.
Oh yeah. No, we've got notes. We've been talking about it. I've started thinking about how we can do it.
We had actually a very interesting conversation about it today on Skype.
We did. It got bigger today. We got more and some really interesting things. I like it.
I feel that's why we're holding back with the Cave FMV chat now, because now it's like the stakes are getting higher and we can't give too much.
Now if we kind of rattle on about it today, we might end up kind of giving things away, which wouldn't make it a very satisfying FMV, would it?
No, I mean there's already talks about setting up for a sequel. Maybe.
That's true, actually. Did talk about a sequel.
The setup, but not the sequel. Just the setup for the
sequel. The cave 2 this time.
Totally. Cave 2. It's just the cave, right? We're not giving it any fancy names, right? It's just cave.
Cave. I think cave. Just cave. Not even the cave. Just cave.
Just cave. And also the gerbil. There's the marketing plan. I mean, guys, like seriously.
We have genuinely been debating marketing plan slogans today. We have genuinely been doing that. So this is the thing. It's going to happen.
We figured out that Rupert's brain is like blah, 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 and my brain is like, he's like chaos. He's like order or chaos, and I'm more like ordered bullet points. I'm like, right, okay.
It's great. Claire does the writing down bit. She actually writes. I always have to do my own writing things down, but it's kind of like she goes, no, I will do this, and off we go, and delivered.
Trivial Hirsute says in here, well, you have a whole squad of potential extras. That's true. We've got a whole squad of extras.
Fantastic.
If we need extras. And Cactus says, I'll be a gerbil, says Cactus. Cactus, will you fit in the box though? Will you fit in the box?
Could be a voiceover.
He does a very good Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, I have to say that. I would like to hear the gerbil as Arnie.
I would like to hear the gerbil as Arnie also.
Oh yes, I'm a gerbil in a box. Wow. Yes. I love how Rupert's whole face.
You're a choir boy.
His whole face, your whole body changed. Wow.
I'm sorry. I'll try not to do that again without warning.
Rupert's Arnie impression is much more regal. I think much more regal.
Was that regal? That was regal, was it? Right. Okay.
Regal Arnie impression, very regal. Wow.
Regal Arnie. Maybe I was thinking of the lion from MGM instead.
Just look, I imagine you holding a tiny little skull of a gerbil while doing it. Wow. Just like. Row to be or not to be, row. Right, the cave. This is the extras. This is in the DVD. We even discussed the extras. We had discussed the making of. Guys,
yeah. We're going to cut bits out of previous podcasts and just go, here's the making of. Here's where we came up with it in the middle of a broadcast.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. And then maybe like cuts to me or Rupert like. With a black backdrop, really nicely filmed. Like, well, I've always really wanted to work with gerbils and boxes. It's always been a thing of mine.
The whole thing evolved very organically. We found as a writing process, as a creative flow, it was very simple. In fact, yes.
Right, we've ramble chatted.
Right.
We need to go.
Yeah, we did a little bit. Yeah.
Guys, please make sure you follow Rupert on Twitter. It's just Rupert Booth. And make sure you follow me on Twitter. I am WeClaire on Twitter. I am WeClaire here on Instagram. If you want to see me do Insta stories in a really grumpy kind of way, that's usually what my Instagram's like. It's me going, hi, I'm an Instagrammer. Anyway, and then just doing a thing. So, if you want
I'm an Instagrammer and I resent it. Is it like that, basically?
It's like me going, hi, guys. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Look at me. I did an Instagram. Cut. Just like, done.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
I'm very positive everywhere else, and I feel like Instagram's the place to be grumpy. I'm going to buck the trend. I'm going to buck the trend.
I feel like the internet's the place to be grumpy, but that's just me.
That is just Rupert. Until he finds his cave, he's going to be a disgruntled man.
And have my billions.
Yes, yes, and has his billions, and paves the cave with walls of gold. Anyway.
Oh, I wouldn't use gold. I'd use paving stones and save the gold for I don't know other things.
The gerbils box. The gerbils box.
C3POs. I'd build lots of C3POs out of gold.
I love it. Why would you?
And then go.
Why?
Because C3PO is great.
Okay, fair.
Obviously.
Fair. I'm side-eyeing you right now. I'm side-eyeing you, just like. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm side-eyeing you.
I was there. I was there in '77. I 3PO and R2 were just wow. They were the best thing about it. But the first time I saw Star Wars, they were the best thing about it.
Oh, when I first saw Star Wars, and now I'm like, It's like stuff happens and you won. Well done. Cool. And we've got like Darth Vader doing or whoever doing the bibbidi bobbidi Jedi stuff, whatever. So that's it.
The bibbidi bobbidi.
Yeah, bibbidi bobbidi, like bibbidi bobbidi Jedi magic. Like that's that's Star Wars for me. Flying explosions.
Yeah, but nah, they don't do that in Star Wars. I mean, the original. When I say Star Wars, I mean Star Wars. Oh. The Star Wars from '77.
I'm talking about the whole thing, the franchise.
Oh, fuck the whole thing. I'm talking about when it's proper.
Spoken like a true grumpy old bastard. When it's
spoken like a true 1970s guy. Yeah.
Guys, please say goodbye to our lovely Rupert. He's going now.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks everyone for listening to this nonsense again.
Thank you, Rupert,
for participating.
Thank you for talking with us, Rupert, and we will see you next week for the day the Earth stood still. This has been Sci-Futures. We will
Pleasure.
see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.